without going into all the benefits of a CRM, this is the core of your tech stack. And not only because you're dealing with clients all the time and it's your second brain, but it also becomes your hub for all information from other apps. So for example, if you've got an email marketing app, all that info will come in. If you have a financial planning app, all that info will come in. So everything comes back into the CRM. So it becomes a very important tool in your tool chest. And if you ever want to sell your business, you need a good CRM or you're not going to get top dollar. Welcome to another episode of Advisor Tech Trends. My name is Massimo, and I'm your host. I know I've been promising for a while some real guests, but I actually have one lined up for next week. So buckle up. It'll be one of my good friends and colleagues. So we're going to start having some guests on here. But before I do that, in today's episode, what I'm going to be talking about is something that people have asked me a lot about. And it's kind of funny, but it's pretty relevant. So a lot of advisors will come to me and say, what is a tech stack? Once I kind of explain them, it's kind of in the name. It's basically all the technology you have in your stack of tools to work with clients. They then say, okay, so what should be in it? And so in today's episode, I'm going to go through the apps that I think are relevant to be in your tech stack. They don't all have to be in one bundle. Frankly, I don't think anyone's really figured out a way. It's quite challenging to get all of the apps in one bundle. So anyways, I'll go through each of the apps that I think are relevant for you as an advisor to have in your bundle. Then I'll talk about the ones that are losing steam, I think are less relevant these days. And we'll kind of end it up with my opinion and next steps. As always, please like, comment, subscribe. I love hearing from you guys, and I'll see you in the episode. Okay, so let's just get to it. Let's cut through the hype. What are advisors actually spending their money on, right? And so that's what I want to go through today. And this doesn't just come from made up knowledge or a guess. I talk to hundreds of advisors all the time. I have focus groups with like a core 10 to 15 that are very tech savvy. So I've talked to people, and in talking to them, not only do I understand which apps they use, but I also get a general budget for what they're spending, which I think will be relevant for you guys watching to get an idea of what, if you want to get into this game, what you'll have to spend. So start, as I said, this is real evidence. Some of it is found online. A lot of it is from me just talking to people. And basically the focus is going to be around apps that touch your clients. So it could be through automations, through forecasting, through planning, things of that nature. It's going to be less so on email software and stuff like that you use internally. It's going to be more client-facing, financial advisor-focused apps, okay? So let's start off. If we were to look at the total budget or the pie, I would say CRMs still rule the budget. It's a pretty important thing. For those of you that don't know, it stands for Customer Relationship Management. I am a bit biased, I guess. I run a CRM software company. But when you're in the client business, any advisor you talk to, they say to you, I'm in the relationship business. Well, guess what? Customer Relationship Management is the name or the acronym for CRM. And so you should be invested in this. Now, here are some stats. 72% of advisors, based on a T3 2024 tech trend survey, say it's their most critical tech. So you just see that there, that when you think of it, a CRM should have all of your notes, all of your tasks, all of your follow-ups, all of your emails, all of your attachments, etc. It's like your second brain, right? And so it should be important to you, and it should be a focus. Now, if you say, Outlook's good enough, I've got episodes on that where I say Outlook sucks for a CRM. But just listen to this stat, 28% higher retention rates in advisors who accurately use the CRM. Now, what does that mean? Automating emails out to clients, giving follow-up tasks, just basically have the system remember things for you and nudge people on your behalf. So without going into all the benefits of a CRM, this is the core of your tech stack. And not only because you're dealing with clients all the time and it's your second brain, but it also becomes your hub for all information from other apps. So for example, if you've got an email marketing app, all that info will come in. If you have a financial planning app, all that info will come in. So everything comes back into the CRM. So it becomes a very important tool in your tool chest. And if you ever want to sell your business, you need a good CRM or you're not going to get top dollar. So there's a bunch of them out there, ranging in prices from $50 a user per month to $300. tools like Salesforce, Cloven, Wealthbox, things like that. If you go Google Financial Advisor CRM Canada, you'll see a bunch of them. But in general, why advisors are buying this tool or these tools is for automation, both internal and external, emails, text messages, task management. Okay, someone emails you to initiate a trade or to rebalance a portfolio or whatever. You need a task for that. And then integration. So you can bring all kinds of information into one spot so you're not jumping around. So without going into more benefits, that should be your first step. Get a CRM. It's kind of like the foundation of a house. Okay. So now, if you're an FA and predominantly you deal in insurance, this might be less relevant to you. But if you deal with insurance and seg funds and mutual funds and portfolio management and things like that, if you're starting to manage money, I think the next best that I hear a ton of is you have to look at good financial planning softwares. So 87% of these now are holistic planning, meaning it'll take into tax and estate, so like insurance, it'll take into investments, etc. And so you don't really have to worry if you're in one bucket. I'm just saying for a lot of people that are just doing insurance, they don't necessarily need this, but more and more, I would argue you probably do. So I would check it out. It's about 40% of people's budget. So if you look at the CRM in the 1 to 300 range, this is probably in the 50 to 150 range per month. And so it's important to have this. The reason being is it's really hard to project, predict, and showcase things to your clients in a meaningful fashion. And these tools are really good because A, they'll integrate with your CRM. So they'll pull all kinds of information out of the CRM and they'll allow you to project or visualize things for your client. They have all the tax rules built in. They've got great charts. You don't have to keep editing an Excel file whenever a tax law changes. So it's really, really good. As I said, it'll help you with taxes, estate, insurance, retirement. There's all kinds of tools. And these tools in the market, some here in Canada are Planworth, Conquest, RazorPlan, Snap. So there's all kinds of tools out there. The thing to keep in mind is some of these tools are geared towards different audiences. Conquest is kind of a bit more higher end. Planworth is more for self-employed people that want to move money around in holdcos, opcos. They have all kinds of tax stuff for that. Then there's Razor and Snap that are more general for a middle to lower high income person. So they have different focuses. So as you're going to look for that, make sure you get a financial planning software. Okay, that's the second big chunk of this pie. The third, which is less sexy, but honestly important, especially with regulations coming in, once you hear that word, you know where I'm going, is compliant tools. The good news is a lot of these CRMs and financial planning tools have compliance built in. What do I mean by compliance? It's honestly like, making sure notes are tracked, tasks are tracked, there's timestamps, the data's in Canada, it can be locked. Once you write a note, it can't be changed, things like that. And so it's in some recent surveys here in Canada, 63% of advisors rank compliance as their top priority. Now, in my opinion, that's kind of silly. It shouldn't be at your top, but in any case, it's important, right? And so having it in the top 3, for example, is very important. And so when you're going to find a CRM or find a financial planning software, make sure data residency is in line. Make sure that they properly follow compliance rules, and all of them will have web pages on this. You can ask their salespeople about this, but this is becoming super important with IROC and CIRO and all of that merging. And then on the insurance side as well, FISRA. I'm going to these conferences and more they're saying they're going to start checking for conflicts of interest, proper data integrity, proper note taking. No longer can you show them an Excel file or a Word document and say, look what I did on so-and-so a day, or screenshot an email. That's not going to fly anymore. You got to be much more compliant. And so I don't think, and I don't see many people doing this, they're not buying separate softwares. This is just something to keep in mind in your stack, that don't just go buy an open source CRM that you find on the web. Find something that's vetted. If you're a Canadian advisor, it has to be stored in Canada, the data, and go from there. And the things to keep in mind as you're looking for stuff, like I said, data residency, audit trails. So when you do something, it tracks that you did that. So if you ever were audited, you could say, look, I did this on the 2nd and this on the 3rd and this on the 10th, right? So most of these tools have this. Alerts, if something bad is happening or if something has been deleted, a lot of these tools have alerts like that. So keep those things in mind as you're looking for a tool. The next piece is maybe obvious, but honestly, a lot of advisors don't do it or pay for it, is marketing and client communication tools. So you may say, well, a CRM can do that. Well, you're not wrong. A CRM can send out emails to clients. What you really want to look here is for tools like MailChimp or campaigns or constant contact, tools like that. The reason is there's all kinds of studies on it, like 2.5 more engagement from automated campaigns these days. 1 in 3 advisors use embedded booking tools like Calendly or Bookings. There's still a 40% on average open rate in financial services with their clients. And so these are tools to communicate with your client via email. There's also text messaging tools. There's also Calendly-esque tools to book meetings. The thing you have to keep in mind as part of your stack, you should find a tool that allows you at the very least to do mass marketing communication with clients via email and SMS. If you leave it at that, you're ahead of most of the crowd and you're doing the right thing. A lot of younger clientele want to be communicated through SMS now. Whether that's relevant for you, I don't know. But the thing you have to keep in mind is you should be hitting your clients 6 to 8 times a year with communication. That communication could be happy birthday, policy renewal, and the list goes on. And so you should have a couple emails, an email at least once a quarter, then a birthday and a policy renewal email, and you're killing it. A lot of advisors think their clients are thinking about them. In reality, they're not. And so you have to get in front of them. And so this has to be part of your tech stack. When you're looking for stuff, look for things that support email, support SMS, support video embedding, and support automated follow-ups. We're not going to go into all of that today, but if you go down the list and the tool you find is or does have all of that, you're way ahead of the game. You're going to be looking really good. So now the fun one. This is newer in the stack, but it's AI. So what AI do advisors use? I mean, there's some people are dabbling with it. There are some pretty clear headwinds around a few things, but in general, it's still at about 10% of people use it daily. That might be higher than you think, but it's low for this industry. Some industries are much higher, like developers. In this survey by Nitrogen in 2025, 56% of people are testing AI this year. So I think we're only a year or two away from it becoming a big part of your day. And for some people, including me, I use GPT and other tools like that at least 4 or 5 times a day. So I'm using it quite heavily. So here are the top use cases that I think you should put in your stack. And it's a super easy win, makes you look professional, helps you with compliance, integrates with CRMs, all the stuff we've talked about, is meeting summaries. So I've had a separate episode on this, Firefly, Fathom. There's all kinds of tools out there. Go check them out. But honestly, if you use that tool, it'll make you feel so much more comfortable with AI. It gives you so much value. For those of you that don't know, it tracks and takes notes on every meeting you've had. As you're in the meeting, it's audio recording it, then it's transcribing it, then it's summarizing it for you. So you can go back, you can find exactly what you said and when you said it. It's huge. And if you were to start anywhere, I think that's the easiest and best place to start. So to bring it all back to what this all means. So just to summarize, we've got a CRM, first and foremost, your foundation. Then we've got a financial planning software to visualize all of your plans. Then we have compliance. Make sure that's built into your CRM, marketing, email, SMS, and AI, meeting recording. If that's your stack, you're looking really good. Now, here's the key. There's a couple key points. Make sure that tools integrate, and they don't have to integrate out of box. Preferably, a lot of these tools do. Like, for example, Fathom integrates with Salesforce and HubSpot and Zoho and all these big CRMs. So you should be fine. But as you're shopping, look for tools that integrate. If they don't integrate, or if they don't have an open API, which you don't really need to know what that means, but you should look for it, then you're in trouble because you want a tool that's open and willing to continue moving forward. If they are integrated, you're going to have way more productivity, right? So when you say tech stack, you assume or you want everything to be connected. And so keep that in mind as you're doing things. I mean, the reality is you guys are using 7+ tools a day, from email to calendar to Slack to CRM to portals for insurance. And so if you can shrink that down and make sure they integrate, that makes your life exponentially better, right? So keep that in mind as you're shopping. Now, What is slowing down? I promised there were some things that are slowing down that I think you should think about getting rid of if you have. Social media, the scheduling on social media, I would say it's slowing down. I don't think you need to pay for that. You can just do it from your phone. If you're on Twitter or X or whatever, I don't think you need a whole scheduling tool. If you have some legacy client portal that you use, I am seeing advisors roll out of that more and more, maybe not as relevant for a lot of you. Complex dashboards. If you're using or have invested in some complex dashboard tool, I would say you don't need that anymore. Dashboards in general, a lot of people are able to build those from scratch on the fly with AI and stuff. So I would say if it's not connected and it's not intuitive, it's probably losing steam. And if you're using any of those, a social media tool or a legacy portal that you're logging into or complex dashboards, you can roll off of that. I would say they're losing steam. So what are kind of the next steps? What are the key takeaways I want you to get out of today? Number one, advisors are buying, but make sure when you do that it fits your workflow. The big things, like I said, are CRM, planning, compliance, AI summaries. You need to have integration with these tools. You got to make sure they have strong support too. Like you're not a tech person, right? And so as you're choosing tools, make sure that they have good tech support. Anything clunky, disconnected, or hard to use, cut it out. Just get rid of it. So as always, I hope you enjoyed this. I hope it gives you some direction on what to buy and when. And as always, please like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.